how do you balance? This is something that I struggle with, which is we do need to be really diligent about our time, right? We need a time block. We need to make sure we're being efficient, but also creating the space for that, right? Because we're relational people. Like we need to have that relationship, but I can get so dogmatic about, and we talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 2 weeks out, which is not healthy, right? It doesn't create the space for the Holy Spirit or for potential clients just to be able to bomb into the office and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you about my floors today." Has there been something that's been useful about your approach, or maybe a learning that came out of this new transition?
Um, at first, it was kind of just throwing things at the wall and see what sticks and trying to figure that out. It didn't work. Something that I actually started doing recently, I got one of those remarkable paper tablets. You actually saw it in your office
Yeah.
yesterday. And I downloaded a daily planner on it. And so since that thing is e-ink and it has weeks of battery life, every night, either before I leave the office or when I get home, I write down everything that I got to do next day. And I write it down in hourly increments. Um, and so at the end of the day, make sure all that is done and start the next one. Some things don't get done because we're busy people, but as long as I can see like the quantitative amount of time that I'm spending in each thing and knowing that it's getting done to as best as I can get it done, it's helped a lot.
I want to push into that though. So there's this concept, resume virtues versus eulogy virtues,
Mhm.
right? So the resume is like accomplishing, doing the things. The eulogy is relationships.
Mhm.
How do you fit that into? Because we should be diligent, we should time block, we should have good habits, but how do you fit knowing, hey, the most important things when I die are going to be people talking about how great of a friend you are, how great of a husband you are, how great of a dad. How do you think about that? And even your clients saying, wow, he journeyed with us for 30 years and he was a man of integrity and he always did what he said and he impacted us. How do you balance the resume versus eulogy virtues as you're thinking about your year, your week?
I try to spend more time with people. I'm not probably going to sound contradictory, but I'm not a huge people person. Like I'm not a very social person. I prefer one-on-one time. Um, so I've been going back through my circle in terms of relationships outside of my family and trying to reconnect with them. Like I actually just had a meeting last week with Andrew, just trying to reconnect with him. And other things like that. Just a simple text. Hey, how are you? Let's grab coffee sometime. Also connecting with competitors in the area. Not in like a, I want to figure out what you're doing, but who are you as a person?
Mm-hmm.
How can we help each other? In terms of family life, that was a boundary that I knew that I did not want to cross. So unless something catastrophic happens, I am always home at 6 o'clock. Sometimes 7 o'clock. But if it's past 7 o'clock, I have done something wrong during the day that doesn't allow me to be home because I don't want to miss. My daughter is 7 years old. I don't want to miss those moments with her. She's learning piano. She's doing gymnastics. She's doing all these things, you know. Of course, I miss some of the gymnastic practices, but when I can make it, I can be there. Same thing with my wife. That's something we're trying to get more in depth on is at least once every 2 weeks. It's just her and I. And that's hard to do in the evenings because the little one has activities, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm the owner of the company. So what can I do? I can take off 2 hours during the day and go and hang out with her. So trying to focus more on those things.
That's really good.
Does it fill your cup up? I mean, I know for me, I have to block those out before anything because business will find a way seeping into those personal times. But it's good that you say like 6 or 7 o'clock is a no-go. I mean, thanks for being on the podcast, by the way, because I think it is like close to 7 o'clock, by the way.
I just realized that.
But that's so important. Like, if does it fill your cup? Like watching your 7-year-old, doing her sports or being with your wife for a date night, like that fills my cup up personally. And so like, yeah, sometimes for me, I'm very competitive and very into business, but then I'm like, dude, this recharged my battery so much because I'm so happy. Like I'm so happy being here in this moment with these people I love,
One of my favorite moments is coming home and her name is Emma and I open the garage door and she comes running out telling me about her practice that she did. Or the simple things like after everything's done, the animals are taken care of and all that. We don't have a farm. We just have 2 animals, but they're both special needs. So they take a lot of
Yeah.
effort. Just sitting down and watching some TV with Paula. The simple things, they do fill me up. Like our first anniversary was January 17th. And at first I was thinking going all out and super extravagant, but then I was like, no, let's just keep it simple. So I asked my buddy for his Corvette, and we went out to dinner, and I went and got some kava because I'm a kava fan. And we just drove around and talked. What are our goals for this next year and 3 years and 5 years? And she wrote a lot of them down. Chris actually gave me an exercise that we can work on to work on that some more. But
The life sheet.
the life sheet,
It's a great tool, man. It's changed my life.
yeah, no, once we fill it out, it'll probably do the same for us. But it's just those moments of peace and quiet, but still having that interaction, you know, because she helps me in the business. So sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the business
Yeah.
and forget about I don't know, maybe too sappy for a podcast, but the romantic aspect of it.
That's
For sure.
important, man. That's your partner, right? I mean, you're going through life. I mean, beyond business, she's there with you. She transcends business in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, almost every way.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, and I know Chris has the same dynamic too, but like, I always wondered about that because you have different dynamics in relationships, but like a wife that works in the business with you. Explain that for our viewers, because a lot of folks are like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to get a wife that works in the business with me, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. But explain like the benefits, of course, of having that person, or sometimes some of the cons of like maybe not being able to turn off that hat when you guys get home. Talk about those dynamics.
I'll start with the cons. So
There we go.
at first, it was pretty much a living hell. We had to figure out those boundaries. When I come home, I don't bring anything up, and she doesn't bring anything up unless it's a very quick conversation on the next day. Like, hey, just making sure you confirmed with the client so that way we can dispatch the cleaners in the morning. That's it. The pros are, in her case, she's a math whiz. She owns several businesses back in Venezuela. So she also owns real estate there. So all of that brought into this has really helped me see things from a different light.
Mm-hmm.
And get in more into the nitty gritty details of where we're going wrong and all that kind of stuff. She always has this thing that she tells me if I get home and she's like, hey, did you get all your stuff done for the day? Again, not by work, but just, did you get it all done? I'm like, oh yeah, but I didn't have time. And she's like, you had time. You gotta allocate it properly, and you gotta focus on it, which is why I broke out that notepad to get it done, because it's easy to get sidetracked. But she keeps me in line, is the best way to put it, in a nice way.
Yeah. Tony Robbins, you guys listen to Tony Robbins at all? He just had his 3-day seminar this past weekend, actually, the free one that he does worldwide, where hundreds of thousands of people come on live. And there's one piece of it that I really love that he's been talking about more recently. And it's just like the different versions of you that come out in the appropriate times. So like, there's like the husband version of Lane that needs to come out. That's more maybe affectionate when it's time to be husband, versus like, you know, the business version of Lane that needs to come out, or even like the version of Lane that might have to be firm love, but he's like firing somebody at work and he has to be still, you know, love his employees, but also be firm and like, hey, here's the accountability things. Here's what we didn't hit. This is when we told you needed to be hit, or whatever it might be. But like, there's different versions of you that have to come on. So you're like constantly putting all these hats on, but it's good to like, I guess, consciously know that about yourself versus just always trying to stick the same hat on and try to be the same person in different situations, because it's hard. Because we all do that, especially as men. Like, we have to have our different dynamics of ourselves that come out. Do you have that in your life, in I guess your young marriage that's only been a year, you know, into your marriage?
Yeah, 100%. To your point, actually last summer, I had a good friend of mine. She was working with us, and she had some things going on. I never really got the full story out of her, what was going on, but she just kept not showing up to jobs. And it ended up costing me a couple of clients. And so I brought her in the office, and she was like, you're firing me, aren't you? I'm like, I mean, yeah. But we still talk to this day, because I had to, in that moment, I had to follow business policies, which is we have a 3-strike system. You don't show up 3 times in a row, no call, no shows. You're done. But I still have conversations to her with this day. She's got a great job. She's working as a chef at a nursing home. She's doing all these things. And, it's good. And we're still keeping that open. Sometimes during the day, there's different, I can tell by the tone of my wife, there's a different phone call coming. If it's a real quick, hey, babe, it's something about work. But if she starts talking to me in Spanish, it's she's being my wife.
Yeah.
Both of them I need to listen to very clearly. And
With Google Translate?
no, I understand for the most part.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
And speak. But yeah, so to your point, yeah, it's definitely 3 different hats throughout the day, sometimes even 4, because then I get the call from my sister or my parents, and then I got to be the big brother or the son, So
Yeah, it's interesting to balance all those things as a young entrepreneur like yourself, and just to figure it all out. And I think for you, like personally, I think you're at a point now where you're just reaching from camaraderie and colleagues to like gather around you at your level, which is hard. Like we talked about that before the show of like, how do you get in circles that are maybe even a little bit ahead of you, but we want that. Like we want the pressure to be around those folks. Has that been part of your strategy too? Is like, I know you said you've been meeting with maybe competitors and people like in your networks, but like even just like striving to be with somebody who's a couple steps ahead of you and just trying to learn as much as you can.
100%. Actually briefly talked about this with Chris. It's a struggle for me as I'm trying to change my life to find those fellow business owners that are grounded in their faith and are going to push me to be better as a husband, a father, as a believer, and as a business owner. It's really hard to relate to just the average 27-year-old guy. Because that's what I'm 27. So no offense to anyone who's watching this is 27, but there's different life paths that everyone has chosen. And so I try to put myself in circles where people are more advanced in all of those areas. And it's hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, we had, I don't know if you were on for this back when we had a fellow named Craig Glass, and he runs Peregrine Ministries, and his whole concept for what he wants to do with his life is help men become more godly men in business and in life. And it was a fascinating episode. I mean, he started way back in like the Soviet Union era, where he was smuggling Bibles into the Soviet Union in like the 70s, and talking about how they like retrofitted all these cars to have compartments to have the Bibles in. And like, it's been his life mission to do that. And you're right. Like, cause I'm faith-based as well. And like, when you do find someone who's trying to better themselves, not only like through their faith, but through business and in life, as a husband, as a friend, it's awesome to see, but it's hard to come by. But there are good things around here for like Colorado Springs specifically. There's a lot of good groups around here. It's just finding your tone with that specific group, right? And fitting in there. So it's interesting that you say that.
And finding the people who are real and genuine too.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of those people out there that'll just use the faith and the fish symbol and everything, but they're actually not about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Something we've been exploring personally and with our clients is you had this separation movement that happened, I don't know, 40s, 50s, 60s, where it was like, all right, separation of church and state, separation of business and life, industrial revolution. So we had these work days that were separated, as opposed to agrarian society where everything was all together, right? You lived on the farm or the ranch and you did life together, you did church together, you did all the things. We have really been working ourselves and then encouraging our clients to say, it's all one thing. Life is one thing. Your faith and your business and your family and your fitness, those are all connected, right? You can't just isolate pieces of those and say, well, I'm really out of shape, and so I hope my business and my family is doing well. And it's like, well, no, you're going to have a heart attack. Like that's going to happen. So you need to integrate being healthy and then having a spiritual, healthy relationship with God and your wife. how do we reintegrate those where when you're going through your day, it's not, okay, I've got to be with my kids and then do this and then do this and then invite God in at the end of the night when I have some time. It's like, how do we just have that be one thing that flows through? And we've talked about this, even just communicating with my kids when I'm gone somewhere at night, which I try not to do. They know what I'm doing. Even this morning, they're like, "Oh, we don't want you to be gone tonight." And I'm like, "Well, here's what we're doing. We're trying to expand Colorado Springs. We're trying to help other people. We're trying to serve other people. It's part of the mission." They still don't like it, but now they understand that it's flowing through in one thing. And even with our relationship is we want to do life with business people that are people of faith and people that aren't of faith, but be able to integrate more pieces of those pillars, the pillars on the life sheet. If I can be doing fun in business and have freedom in business and have my faith in business and have my fitness be, part of that, like go do fun thing, go do hikes with business owners where we're talking about business. The more we can break those silos down, I think it's how God built us to where we have congruence in our life, as opposed to feeling like, all right, I can't talk about my faith because this person I know is not a believer. And it's like, well, I kind of don't care. That's who I am. It's not affecting who they are. They can be who they are. And that's great too. But the older I get, the more I want it all to be one thing, which I think is what integrity is. It's being the same where you are all the time. And I'm not all the time, right? That's something that I'm working on to make sure that I'm the same person that's parenting my kids, that's coaching them and their baseball team, that's doing business deals. And I hope it all starts flowing even, more and more the more I practice it. So yeah, it's interesting.
Do you want to break down that life sheet? Because I think it's so important to break down the life sheet for sure for our audience that Chris presented to you.
Yeah, and I'm happy to send this out to any of the audience. So when we use a system called EOS in our business, and they have something called the VTO, which is a 2-page business plan, right? And you guys use it. When we were doing that, I was like, well, the cadence and the things are the same in your personal life. So what if we just had a 2-page business plan for your life? And we actually have business components, but we started thinking through, and there's tons of great research, and Tony Robbins has some great stuff. There's a bunch of stuff out there. This is not unique to us. We just put it all together. But we really wanted to say, if I'm doing quarterly planning with my wife, that's going to include our business and our wealth and other things, how do we do that systematically, right? The same way I would with my business. So we built it where you've got kind of a 3-year plan, a 1-year plan, and then we broke the pillars down where we think you should put energy. Now, you may say some of these I'm not as focused on, but you should be putting energy into your faith, into your family and friends, into your finances, into your fitness, into your fun, into your freedom. Like there are things that if you look at the people that have had the greatest lives that I admire, at the end of their lives, the eulogy virtue, these are things that they put consistent energy into, as opposed to just, and this is where it came up. I know some really miserable, very high net worth people that are divorced, that their kids hate them, that are overweight and have health problems, but they're really rich. And my wife and I were like, we don't want that. Like, that's not what we want for our family. Like, we want to be 100 years old and have good fitness to where we can do things and have our great grandkids be able to, want to hang out with us, and our kids have my relationship with God be growing. And also I want to grow our wealth. I want our profitability and our cash flow and our net worth to go up every year, because it's hard to help people when you're broke. And we think that's good stewardship, but we just put that all on a couple page and we just give it to people, and some people never use it, but the people that use it, it changes their life, because it just simplifies everything to say, once a quarter, you look through everything and you come up with new goals, and then you go do those things.
Man, love that.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Sure. So, I mean, obviously he threw that on you yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah.
But have you gotten kind of started with any of those things on the life sheet?
Mentally, he actually sent it to me in an email earlier today, printed off. I'm going to work on it tonight with Paula, because I'm really excited about it. It's being able to put down the things that we've talked about and the different goals and things that we want to put time into on a piece of paper, and be able to have something, even if it's a piece of paper, we can throw it away, we can shred it, but to have something tangible that can hold us accountable and almost a reminder, like you were saying, quarterly, like, hey, how are we progressing in these certain things?
The other beautiful thing too is when you maintain, it could be PDF or paper. I've got both, but it allows you to see your progress. oftentimes we put stuff into an app and it's tracking you, but you don't go back and you're like, okay, Q2 of 2023, where was I?
Mm-hmm.
And I look at that and I'm like, wow, I didn't feel like we made that much progress, but in 2.5, 3 years, we have absolutely made a ton of progress. And then you start going back 5 years, and that's really when it becomes really incredible. Yeah. And that's when I always tell people, and this is a Dan Sullivan quote, there's no unrealistic goals, only unrealistic timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes we think it's going to take us 10 years to get this goal, and it might take us 3. And that's pretty cool as a human to be like, we can create really great things in way less time than we think it is, or maybe it takes longer, but yeah. It's cool.
It's so interesting because it's like, it's funny because my girlfriend, not business person, and I have been very intentional with my things that I want to roadmap for my life always. And the way that she took it originally when I was like, I want to be intentional about what we do this year or the next 3 years or 5 is she's like, you can't fit business into our personal lives. And then what she realized is like, it wasn't business. I'm just being intentional with our time because the people that I find who are the most lost in life have no direction or any intention behind what they're doing. But if you can roadmap, like, this is what I want, like 3 year, 1 year, 10 year, whatever it might be, you can be intentional with your time. And it's so important. I feel like that's what a lot of young folks, whether it's business or not, are missing from their lives is like they need that roadmap. It doesn't have to be the same for everybody, but they need that roadmap.
For sure.
Yeah. And discipline.
Yeah.
And discipline. Yep.
Discipline. My dad always says you can want all you want, but nothing's going to come out of it without discipline. And it's true. And I feel like that's something that I've been trying to teach these people that I'm helping them start their small businesses on the side and all that stuff. It all comes down to discipline. The only reason that all of us are sitting here today is because we had a goal, and we worked at it daily. If you're not doing that, then the goal just will never materialize.
100%. For sure. I talk to my team. So we do quarterly planning with our team. Some of them take us up on it, some don't. But I've gotten a lot more forceful with the words that I use because I think people are used to people being really nice, right? And hey, you're doing good. Well, they're not doing good. So it's not helpful for you to tell somebody who's struggling, just keep doing what you're doing. You're good, boo. Like, that's not useful. And at the end of the year, I just said to my team, I said, look, we have the opportunity to make 2026 the greatest year, both collectively and individually. However, if you do the same exact thing you did in 2025, you're going to have a worse year because it's accelerating. We've got inflation, we have AI, we have all these things that are working against you. There's no stasis. So if you want this to be the greatest year of your life, you have to do things dramatically different. Even if you're like, hey, I want to do financially better. Okay, cool. Well, let's build a budget and let's just work on sticking with a budget for a month, right? Let's start building the habits. Atomic Habits is a great book that we use with our team. If you're just like, hey, I want to be a little bit healthier, cool. What's the smallest thing you could do? Put on your tennis shoes, walk for 5 minutes. But if you want a better life and you do the same thing, expect a worse life. Not the same life as 2025. Expect a worse life because life is moving around you. And my team was kind of like, we didn't want to hear that. But then the group that really is willing to be disciplined and do the hard work is like, you're right. Things are getting harder. Like, we need to do some different things this year. And that's like, we invite everybody into this conversation because we want people to have that exceptional life. But if you want an exceptional life, you got to do things that other people won't do.